Let's try that again with the mic on this time. Hello, I'm Alex from A.P.Ink. So today I'm going to take a bit of a step back, and instead of trying to draw anything, I'm going to be testing these materials together. So I've got watercolor pencils and kind of like water soluble crayons. Now obviously I've got Derwent watercolored pencils, but I would imagine that this would work the same for any brand of watercolor pencils. So I think I want to see for layering, if I layered watercolor pencils on top of these crayons versus layering the crayons on top of the pencils, and how they kind of interact and layer. So this is watercolor paper. I think, just so I don't get myself confused, I'm going to do these in two different color schemes. Okay, so I think I guess for the blue one, I'll start with the pencils, or the crayons rather. So I don't know how well this is gonna show up, but we'll start with white. I'm not trying to be too rough here, but it is awful crumbly. I don't remember that being an issue before when I swatched these. I will get to the pencils. I'm just gonna build the layers up first. I'm just thinking, how I want to say that, to get the basics and then use the colored pencils as kind of detail work, almost like if I were to be using markers and then come back in later with colored pencil for rendering it for shadows and whatnot. So that was light blue. There's no colors on this. Somewhere I've got the swatch card that I made before. Okay, so that was pretty straightforward. I'm gonna wait until I get both of them done before I add water. And I'd imagine that here, for this one, that I'd have to wet it first and then come back in with the colored pencil. Oh, sorry. That was, I started with deep cadmium and then I just added orange chrome. This is Crimson Lake. Oh, I should also say apologies if you can hear a fan in the background. I do have a drying station set up off to the side. Okay, so that's the base color, or base colors. I think to deepen the shadow, I could go black, but I think I'll use this brown. We'll see how that blends together. Okay, for here, I really don't know if this is gonna scratch up the color, but I've got Prussian blue that I'm gonna edge this with. Which it is scratching up the pigment. I'm actually not sure if it's actually leaving any pigment. Let's find out. So I've just got a water brush that I filled up. I was gonna look before I started streaming, but I ran out of time. I don't know if they make colored watercolor paper so that so if you wanted to use like colors like white, if they had like toned gray, black, brown watercolor paper, that would be kind of interesting to play with. I may have been a bit heavy-handed with that darker blue. I'm really not sure if that colored pencil did anything here. Trying to make sure my brush is cleaned off before I move on to the other one. wanted to do this because I wanted to see if I could actually create a creature like I've done in the past with a base of alcohol marker and then come back in with colored pencil to add detail. I wanted to see if I could do the same with these and which would be the best for a base, because I'm almost thinking these or even the pearlescent crayons that I have would be the base, and then come back in with colored pencil. Okay, I'm gonna go see if I can dry this fairly quickly. I will be right back. Okay. I mean, I think I could have feathered out the transition a bit better than I did, but it looks like I'm just scratching the material away, the supply away that maybe I didn't activate well enough. Kind of thinking colored pencil with these crayons on top is probably going to be the way to go. Let's see if it changes at all. Maybe instead of that Prussian blue, I should go for a bit of a darker tone just to see if it actually is showing up and I'm just not seeing it because the blues are so close. So I've got Imperial Purple, I mean it's subtle, but I am having to push kind of hard. Okay, let's see what happens. We'll go blue first. It's kind of not showing up. Make sure my brush is clean. Okay. So that was the test. So probably the way I'm gonna go is colored pencil, and then I'll use the crayons for detail and or rendering. So I also wanted to see, so it's easy enough to use a colored pencil in combination with a paintbrush, which I've done this before. So I've just got imperial purple, so it's easy enough to see, and you can pull the color that way instead of coloring and then wetting it. I would suggest, if you don't have experience doing that, to be very careful. You don't want to get too much water on the wood, but I would also suggest letting your pencils dry out before you put them away again. So let's see how that works with these. So I've just got brown. I'm guessing close to the same, but let's see. That's not nearly as vibrant here as the purple came out. Maybe I don't have as much pigment buildup. I would say that that's still not nearly as dark as the purple, which maybe that's my fault for choosing brown to compare to purple. Maybe to do an even comparison, because I do have a dark purple here. Make sure my brush is clean. See if I can really build this up and see how dark this is. That's not bad. You can use both products the same way then. But I think if I were to do a painting the same way I have created illustrations or creature designs, I don't know if it would really be a one-day video, because I imagine I would have to let it dry, like create the creature or illustration or whatever it is, let it dry, and then come back in the next day to kind of render it, depending on how much water ends up pooling on the paper. Okay, I was gonna get into a creature design, but I think I want to take a little bit to think out how I want to do this. Especially after doing this guy. I mean, this one did come out kinda neat, I think. But to actually come back in and add a bit more rendering. But I would still have to let it dry, because even for here, the paper has buckled, if you can see that. Which I'm sure there are different qualities of watercolor paper. Anyways, I've got some things to think about. Thanks for hanging out. If you'd like to catch me in my next live and either draw with me or hang out, please make sure that you're following me and that your notifications are turned on so that you're notified for the next time I go live. But other than that, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you. Bye.